The rain had just stopped, leaving the city streets glistening under the soft glow of streetlights. Inside the cozy corner cafe, the smell of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sweetness of pastries, wrapping the room in a comforting warmth. Clara Thompson sat nervously at a small table by the window, her hands twisting the edge of her napkin. She had reluctantly agreed to a blind date, encouraged by her friends who insisted it would be fun. Fun, she thought bitterly, wasn't exactly what came to mind when you had spent the last few months avoiding dating altogether. She took a deep breath, trying to calm the flutter in her stomach. Her thoughts raced, the usual insecurities bubbling up, like always. I'm too fat, I'm not the type of woman someone like him would want, he's rich, probably gorgeous, and I'm just me. The door jingled, and her pulse spiked. A tall, impeccably dressed man stepped inside. Dark suit, crisp shirt, perfectly styled hair, the kind of man who seemed untouchable, like he existed in a different world. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on her. Clara. His voice was warm and inviting, not at all the cold, arrogant tone she had imagined CEOs possessed. Yes, James. She stood, her knees trembling slightly as she offered a hesitant smile. He extended his hand, and she shook it, noticing the firmness and confidence behind it. He didn't seem to expect her to be perfect, and somehow, that made her feel slightly less anxious. They both sat down, and a waiter handed them menus. Clara's heart raced, not because of the fancy dishes or the expensive-looking decor, but because she had decided she wouldn't hide behind politeness this time. She had to be honest, even if it embarrassed her. "Sir, I'll be honest," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "No one marries a fat girl. I want you to know what I am." James blinked, leaning back in his chair for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then a slow smile spread across his face, amused and gentle. "And you think that matters to me?" he asked softly, his tone curious rather than mocking. Clara swallowed hard. "I mean, look at you. You're rich, handsome, the kind of man women like me only dream about." She looked down, afraid he might laugh. Instead, he chuckled softly, a deep, genuine sound that made her chest tighten. "Clara, the world is full of people who judge by appearances, status, or wealth. But that's not how I see things. I see courage, I see honesty, I see someone who is real." Her eyes widened. "Real, yes," he said, leaning forward slightly, his gaze warm and steady. "And for the record, I find you fascinating. You're brave enough to be yourself, even in a world that constantly tells you not to be." Clara felt heat rising to her cheeks. She hadn't expected anyone to speak like that, not someone like him. The confidence she had always admired in rich, successful men was usually paired with arrogance, but he didn't act that way. He made her feel seen, really seen. The first awkward tension began to dissolve as they talked. She told him about her life, her modest apartment, her job at the local bakery, her dreams and fears. He shared glimpses of his world, but always carefully, never to intimidate, always to connect. Hours passed like minutes. The rain outside had turned into a gentle drizzle, casting a soft glow through the cafe windows. Clara laughed genuinely for the first time that evening, surprised by how comfortable she felt. Then, in a quieter moment, she admitted softly, "I never thought someone like you would even sit here with someone like me. I'm not what people expect." James reached across the table and gently touched her hand. "Clara, forget what people expect. What matters is what we choose to see in each other. I see honesty, courage, and kindness, things far rarer than money or appearances. And that's what I want to know more about." Her heart skipped a beat. She had come expecting awkward small talk and polite smiles, but instead, she found warmth, sincerity, and a strange, undeniable connection. Finally, as they stood to leave, James smiled one more time, the kind of smile that promised more than just a pleasant evening. "Clara," he said softly, "let's prove them all wrong." Clara blinked, uncertain but hopeful. "Prove them wrong?" "Yes," he said confidently. "Together, we can show the world that love isn't about expectations. It's about courage. And tonight, I think we've just begun." And for the first time in years, Clara walked home feeling light, a spark of hope igniting in her chest. Something extraordinary had begun, something neither of them expected, a connection that could change both their lives forever. The days following that first blind date lingered in Clara's mind like a dream she didn't want to wake from. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw James's warm smile, the sincerity in his eyes, and the effortless way he had made her feel seen, truly seen. It was unlike anything she had ever experienced. She returned to her routine, early mornings at the bakery, long hours kneading dough and preparing pastries, followed by her part-time job at the local community center helping children with homework. Her life was modest, predictable, and safe. And yet, the memory of James kept stirring something she thought had long been dormant: hope. Meanwhile, James couldn't shake her from his mind either. The city around him, filled with skyscrapers and luxury, seemed hollow without the thought of Clara's laughter echoing in his ears. For all his power and influence, he found himself thinking about someone entirely unrelated to money, business, or status, someone real. Someone extraordinary. A week later, James invited Clara to a small art gallery opening downtown. She hesitated at first. She wasn't used to dressing up or attending glamorous events, but something inside told her to say yes. When she arrived, she found James waiting near the entrance, casually elegant yet still approachable. "You made it," he said, his smile lighting up the room more than the chandeliers overhead. "I did," Clara replied nervously, tugging slightly at the hem of her dress. "I wasn't sure I belonged here." "You belong anywhere you want," James said confidently. "Tonight is about enjoying art, good company, and us getting to know each other better." As they wandered through the gallery, discussing paintings, sculptures, and photography, Clara felt an ease she hadn't known in years. She laughed freely, sharing stories of her childhood, her dreams, and even her insecurities. James listened intently, genuinely interested in everything she said. Not once did he comment on her appearance, her weight, or her perceived flaws. He valued her mind, her heart, her humor, everything that made her, her. At one point, a group of socialites whispered as they passed by. Clara overheard them snickering, casting sideways glances at her. Her heart sank for a moment, a familiar sting of self-consciousness threatening to return. James noticed immediately. He gently took her hand and gave it a reassuring squeeze. "Ignore them," he whispered. "Their opinions are irrelevant. The only thing that matters is what we see in each other." Her chest swelled with warmth. For the first time, she realized that love didn't have to be about fitting someone else's standard. It could be about acceptance, courage, and mutual respect. Weeks turned into months. Their blind dates became regular meetings, quiet walks in the park, coffee dates in small cafes, and late-night phone calls sharing fears and dreams. Clara began to see a side of James that no one in his corporate world knew: playful, thoughtful, and tender. He would text her late at night simply to ask how her day went or send her little notes of encouragement before her long shifts. One evening, they found themselves sitting on a bench overlooking the city skyline. The air was cool and crisp, filled with the faint scent of rain from earlier that day. Clara leaned slightly against James, feeling the steady rhythm of his presence beside her. "You've changed my life," she said softly, unsure if she dared to voice the thought. James turned to look at her, his eyes warm. "Clara, you've changed mine too. I've spent my life chasing success, status, and approval. But you've taught me something far more valuable: that love isn't about appearances or wealth. It's about connection, courage, and honesty." Her eyes glistened with tears. "I never thought someone like you could see me, really see me." "I do," he said, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. "And together, we can prove them all wrong." Clara smiled, a mixture of relief and joy washing over her. She had been hiding from the world for so long, expecting rejection at every turn. But James had seen through it all, offering her not pity, but respect and admiration. Their relationship continued to flourish, grounded in laughter, shared dreams, and quiet moments that mattered more than extravagant gestures. They discovered each other's worlds, bridged gaps of experience and expectation, and slowly built a bond strong enough to withstand any judgment from the outside world. In the sanctuary of each other's company, Clara found confidence, courage, and love. James found authenticity, warmth, and a reason to see the world differently. Together, they were ready to face the world, and prove that love, in its purest form, didn't conform to society's narrow standards. And so, from the nervous hesitations of a blind date to the shared moments of growing intimacy, their journey had only just begun, a journey of defiance, love, and the quiet strength of two hearts daring to be themselves. Months had passed since that first awkward but honest blind date, and Clara's life had changed in ways she never imagined. Her relationship with James had deepened, becoming the anchor she didn't know she needed. He had become her confidant, her supporter, and, most surprisingly, her best friend. And for the first time, Clara began to see herself the way James always had, strong, valuable, and deserving of love. James, too, had changed. He had spent years immersed in the world of boardrooms, stock reports, and high society, but Clara had shown him that the richness of life was measured not in wealth, but in genuine human connection. He found himself prioritizing moments with her over meetings, laughs over power plays, and love over approval. The day of the engagement arrived on a crisp spring evening, at a charity gala held in one of the city's grandest ballrooms. The chandeliers sparkled like captured stars, reflecting in the polished marble floors. Socialites and corporate elites mingled, dressed in gowns and tuxedos, whispering about fortunes, deals, and appearances. Clara stood near the entrance, her heart pounding under the elegant dress James had picked for her. She felt the familiar sting of insecurity as eyes turned toward her, whispers rippling through the crowd. "They're thinking I don't belong here. That I'm too, not enough." James noticed immediately. He reached for her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "Ignore them," he murmured. "The only opinion that matters is mine, and I love you exactly as you are." Her chest tightened, tears threatening to spill, but she felt the courage she had been building over months settle within her. She nodded, letting his words fortify her. As the evening progressed, James guided her to the center of the ballroom. The music softened, a hush falling over the crowd. A few curious eyes followed, but most were unaware of the small drama about to unfold. James knelt before Clara, holding her hands with a tenderness that contrasted sharply with the opulence around them. "Clara Thompson," he began, his voice calm but commanding, carrying over the soft hum of the gala, "when I met you, I saw a woman who dared to be herself in a world that tells you to hide. You've shown me what it means to care, to laugh, and to love without conditions. You've changed my life, and I want to spend every day proving to you that you are cherished, admired, and respected, not for what anyone thinks you should be, but for who you truly are." Clara's eyes filled with tears. She could barely breathe, overwhelmed by the sincerity in his gaze and the heartfelt words he spoke. "I want everyone here to see what I see," James continued, "because love is not about appearances, wealth, or status. Love is about courage, honesty, and connection. Clara, will you marry me?" For a moment, the room seemed to hold its breath. Clara's friends gasped, unsure if this was real. The whispers and judgments that had always shadowed her life seemed to vanish as she stared into James's eyes. All that mattered was him, the man who had seen her truth, embraced it, and loved her unconditionally. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling but clear. "Yes, I will." The crowd erupted in applause, some shocked, some delighted, but all captivated by the audacity and beauty of the moment. Clara felt herself lifted into a world she had never dared to imagine, one where love triumphed over fear, where courage overcame judgment, and where being true to herself was celebrated. James rose, sliding the engagement ring onto her finger, and kissed her hand gently. "See," he whispered, smiling, "we proved them all wrong." Clara laughed through her tears, resting her head briefly against his chest. "We did," she said softly. "We really did." That night, as they danced quietly among the chandeliers and sparkling gowns, Clara realized that her life had changed not because of wealth or social approval, but because someone had chosen to see her, truly see her, and love her for it. And James, watching her smile, felt a contentment he had never known, a peace born not of control or success, but of genuine human connection. In the weeks and months that followed, Clara and James continued to live their truth, walking together in the world, proud of who they were and what they had built together. Their love story became a quiet rebellion against societal expectations, a testament that courage, honesty, and connection mattered more than judgment or appearances. For Clara, it was the start of a life where she could finally thrive, confident and adored. For James, it was proof that the richest moments in life were not measured in dollars, but in the heartbeats and smiles of the person you love. And together, they had truly proved everyone wrong.